Yes, sir.
We are live. It is Monday night. We are under the lights officially.
Under the lights. Got to tweet it out.
Yeah, that's right. Tweet it out. And we got a great guest tonight, Jessie Perales, out of Naaman Forest High School in, I think it's Garland. Officially, it's Garland, Texas, but I think it's in that Dallas-Fort Worth area. I almost said Dallas-Fort Wayne. Not quite the same. But I met him when I visited his high school, Del Valle High School in El Paso. He was a head football coach in El Paso, Texas for many years, and then took the job. I think this would be year number 2, season 2. He took the job a year ago at Naaman Forest. So
nice.
He went all the way across the state to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Jason Eddings in the house out of Cali. Welcome, Jason. Good to have you, man. We got a great guest on board tonight. So I'm excited to have him. Yeah, I got to tweet this out. Let me grab this.
He's the athletic coordinator, too.
Oh, is he?
The AD.
Yeah, I wonder if they, again, so he had been at Del Valle for, I want to say almost 20 years. So he may have found
athletic coordinator. Got to ask him what that is.
May have found a really nice opportunity over here. All right, let me tweet this out. We are live. Come say hi. Okay. With a Texas high school football coach. Have you ever gone to see a high school football game in Texas?
Man. No, not live.
Me either. I never have. And, you know, you can't, being a high school football coach, you can't help but wonder, like, what is it different? Is it different? Right? Or is it just more people? Right? Is it just more people? Is it just
you're at a college game.
Is it just more people in the stands? And then, not only Texas, but we've talked about this before, certain cities have certain metropolitan areas have a really big following around football. So obviously, Dallas-Fort Worth being one of those big-time football areas. We talked about some others. Indianapolis has a great football following. Cincinnati has an incredible football following. How about out east where you're from? What cities are known for having the best football following?
Oh, man, out east. I know Virginia. Virginia has a good following.
Now that's not a city, though, Coach Watkins.
I was going about to get into it. I'm trying to think. You get into like that Virginia Beach area, Bridgeport, kind of like right where that T.C. Williams, right near where like the movie was filmed.
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans? Yep. So man. Friday night there is unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, the other cities of basketball, like where I'm from, there's like if you don't get tickets by 8:30 in the morning, you ain't coming in. New York City, yeah.
That's what the high school basketball games are like?
That's the high school basketball game. Oh. There's a long line at like 8:30.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yo, in fact, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Martin Quiroga in the house. What's up, Coach Quiroga out of Chicago? Welcome, guys. If you're just getting here, please check in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Also, we got a very special guest tonight, Jessie Perales out of Naaman Forest High School, head football coach there near Dallas-Fort Worth area. So Texas high school football coach in the house tonight. He should be here any second. I don't know when. What I was going to say is, and honestly, it goes into football as well. It's like it almost doesn't matter the size of a venue. If a venue is full, it's an incredible atmosphere.
That is true.
Right?
Yep.
So it's like high school basketball. You know, I was just coaching before I got to Champaign. So like 8 years ago or so, I was at a super tiny high school. In fact, we were 2 tiny high schools that would co-op. Well, one of the tiny high schools had a huge basketball following. You're talking about a tiny gym, tiny stands. Only one side of the gym had stands, but they would fill it. Their students were excited about it. and the place was rocking when they'd have a big game. And it just
tough to play there.
It's like it doesn't matter how big your venue is. If your venue's full, it's rocking. In fact, like if you take 10,000 people and put it in University of Illinois' Memorial Stadium where they play football, that place feels empty, right? And your atmosphere is dead. You take 10,000 people and put them around a high school football field. Now it's electric, right? Like, it's amazing how that works. So, like, I cannot imagine the excitement around high school basketball when people are waiting to get in and everything's always sold out. That's got to be fun, man. Did I lose you? Oh, okay.
That's usually how it is in basketball. Even here in Chicago, I tried to go see a kid was committed to Duke, and I wanted to see what it was about. And it was like, yeah, it's sold out. So he had to get it like the week prior to that game. I was like, oh wow.
Oh, that was in the city?
That was in the city.
That's because they had, and that's probably because they had like a big D1 recruit. But I wonder for the big Chicago, the big city games, the big rivalries, if they fill the house
you ain't
too.
Getting in unless you know somebody.
Yeah,
I ain't know nobody.
I'll tell you what, that is where, and it does honestly, Charles, it don't matter the sport for me, man. High school sports, when you start packing a house, packing a gym, that's just plain fun, man. I don't care what the sport is. It gets fun in a hurry. One of the most fun high school basketball games I was ever at was a sectional final where it was at a neutral site, good size high school gym, but it was packed to the rim. And it was one of those back and forth games, especially the entire fourth quarter, where like one team would go up by one, then the other team would go up by one. And you're rooting for your team. And the place is so loud that when the other team scores to take the lead, they get so loud it like angers you. So that when your team takes the lead, you're trying to be extra loud to try to anger them. And it just went back and forth. It was the most amazing electric atmosphere, man. What's one of the best high school atmospheres you've been to lately? We'll let Coach Perales, looks like he's here. We'll let him in in a second.
Uh-oh.
Can you think of a great high school atmosphere that you've been to?
As a fan?
Yeah.
Man. It's probably been a while since I've really been to, I guess going back home, we do like a big Thanksgiving game, and that was pretty rocking. That was loud.
You said that. And is your high school involved in that rivalry?
Yep. High school is involved in it. So you got to see a lot of people from when I was there, people before me. And it's packed. It's about, like you said, it's almost close to 5,000 people. But the bleachers aren't that big and people are around the stadium, around the fence.
Dude, that's the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the type of game like you're excited by the time you get out of the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
If you don't get there early, you might not have a seat.
Oh man, I'm ready for some postseason sports already. Hey, Lucas Freeman in the house. Welcome, Coach Freeman. Coach Gardner in the house says when he was in high school, I guarantee I played basketball in front of bigger crowds than we ever had at a football game. Yeah, I played. Let's see. Coach Gardner also says I played with 3 D1 basketball players in high school. You what?
Oh wow.
Who, Coach?
3.
Who? You got to tell us. Ben Campos in the house out of Carbondale. Let's get Coach Perales in here. I'm excited for you to meet this guy here, Charles. I think you're going to like Coach Perales.
All right, here we go.
There he is. Let's get that sound working, Perales.
Mute it.
How about that?
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, doing good, man. What's going on?
Hey, how you like my hat?
Oh, I like that. I like it a lot.
Now, this was the hat, Charles. This is Charles Watkins, Coach Perales.
How you
doing,
Coach?
Charles?
And Charles is the defensive coordinator at Concordia University, Chicago.
Oh, nice.
And he's been doing this with me, man, since this summer, right, Charles?
Yes, sir.
Man,
we've been rolling, still rocking.
Yeah, we've been at it for a while. Well, Coach Perales was the head coach at Del Valle in El Paso for many years. Coach, how many years?
I was the head coach there for 15.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Head coach there for 15 years. Built one of, if not the best high school program in El Paso. One of. I don't want to insult anybody, Coach, so let's call it one of.
Sure. Sounds fair.
One of the best high school programs in El Paso. And then, Coach, I'm looking online, And you moved.
I did.
Man, so now you're in. Now, where is Garland?
Garland is just east of Dallas.
Okay. How far?
The Metroplex area.
How far from Dallas?
Well, everything is just kind of, I mean, we're next to Richardson, Rockwall, Mesquite, Saxe, Rowlett.
I know exactly where you are now. Yep.
Right in that area. I'm about a mile from Lake Ray Hubbard.
Okay. How far are you from Lovejoy?
Probably about 15 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
So
yeah,
now
you got some kinfolk in Lovejoy?
Good buddy of mine's, Coach Price. He just got the job there, the DB coach there.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh, they got some money.
They got money. They got a good quarterback over there I'm trying to get to.
They got some great facilities. I mean, all their facilities are outstanding. It's a good place. One of my buddies just got the head softball job over there, an El Paso guy, actually.
Okay.
DJ Lopez. He's the new head softball coach over there, and he loves it.
How's a guy from El Paso go all the way up to Dallas?
Leap of faith, divine intervention.
Okay.
Either one of those. I just, I threw my name in the hat, and my wife and I wanted to come out this way, and so it's been really, really awesome. It really has been.
So how did you ever make the decision finally to pull that trigger? So you get an opportunity at, and what's the name of the high school? Naaman Forest, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Naaman Forest. Mm-hmm.
You get this opportunity, and is this a tough decision at this point? Like, oh my goodness, this is an opportunity, but how do I leave Del Valle? I've got, like, you had built such an incredible program, right? And I got to believe your roots were pretty deep in El Paso.
Sure.
So what was it finally?
I mean, there was a couple things really. I think the opportunity for my wife to advancement in her career had a lot to do with it. And I didn't have plans of leaving, but I interviewed for a job on Saturday. They offered it to me on Saturday evening, and I was gone by Tuesday. So I just kind of did it fast, so I wouldn't think of, because I knew that going and packing up my office and doing those things was gonna make me not go or whatever. No, but I just knew the opportunity in front of me, and I knew it was great for my family, for my sons and my wife. And so it was a very difficult thing to do. I mean, because I had been at Del Valle for 17 years, but 15 as the head coach. And we had built that community up. I tell people all the time, we're a one-horse town. We had that feeling in a town of many horses, But it was, I loved my time there, and it helped mold me into who I am now. But I'm really loving it out here. It's so different. It's really awesome. And I'm having to prove myself every single day. There's battles every day.
Yeah.
And if the job wasn't hard enough, then COVID came along and has made it 10 times as hard, Yeah.
I want to talk about this, like going back to the starting gates, I feel like, right? Like you have a job, you're established, you're there for 15 years, and then you take over a new job and it's back at the starting gate. So I want to talk about that, Coach Perales, but give me a moment. I want to check in with our guys in the chat. Guys in the chat, if once you're here, let us know that you're here. We appreciate you. Go over to Twitter and retweet that we are live. I tweeted it to my my Nate Albaugh account. So if you guys could tweet that. Coach Perales, we try to just balance back and forth. We talk a little life. We always get to football, and we balance between our conversation here and our conversation there in the chat. So you'll see me bouncing back and forth. So Coach Watkins, 3 years ago, I want to say 3 years ago, I flew out to El Paso to Del Valle High School, and Coach Perales helped put together 4 or 5 coaches, all Spanish-speaking coaches, and we did an entire online Chief Pigskin clinic in Spanish.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what brought us out there. So we did everything in Spanish. It was incredible. And that was like this huge project. So I did that. It was almost 3 years ago now. I've kept in touch a little bit with Coach Rangel, who's doing a great job. He's defensive coordinator now at and I just forgot his school name. Can you remember?
He's at Hanks.
At Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
Had some great coaches there that day. And now this is the first time I've had you on Talk a Little Ball, I think, Coach Perales, since you were speaking in Spanish.
Sí, y muchas gracias por todo. De nada. And thank you, te lo agradezco. It's been awesome. That time you went down to El Paso, man, that was really, really cool, man. It was really cool. And you had some great coaches that are still there in El Paso, just doing the right thing and doing things big over there. So I'm really proud of them. I'm now the regional director of the National Hispanic Coaches Association, which is really cool. We're really trying to expand on the minority, as you know, and I think I have a different platform now where I can really have a voice and really help the minority grow, because there isn't a lot of minority head coaches in our sport, whether African American or Hispanic. The numbers are not telling, and we really need to fight for that.
So tell me about that. You said you're the director of, say it again?
No, I'm a regional director.
Regional director
Our president is Coach Jacinto. He's an assistant AD out in Houston. And then the vice president is the head coach over at North Garland, really great guy, Joe Castillo.
Okay.
And so I'm a regional director, and really I'm just trying to recruit minority. We accept anybody, but we're recruiting minorities, and there's kind of a lot of minorities in Texas, but they're all in certain pockets. El Paso, the Valley, just some San Antonio. And so there's a lot of Hispanics and African Americans, minorities coaching, but assistant jobs. And what we're really trying to do is just promote them and show off, how good they are and what they can do, and really try and increase the number of minority head coaches at some point, and we work hand in hand with Texas high school coaches. We believe in their philosophy. We always will. But this is just something I think that we're doing for us minorities.
Coach, that's awesome. I like that. I want to definitely learn more about that.
For sure.
Like you said, if you look at the percentages, and I'm pretty sure at any level, I'll go far as say, from the pros to the college to the high school, it's not enough, or there's not many minority head coaches. So
you could say it, Charles, there's not enough.
Yeah.
The percentage does not represent the number of head coaches. I mean, we both know that. And I'm not saying that the other coaches are bad. I'm not saying that at all. I just feel like there's very deserving minorities that have, for whatever reason, haven't gotten their shot, and they deserve their shot. And we want to kind of shed some light on that. And I'm not afraid to talk about those hard topics. I'm really not. And being a head coach for 15 years, talking about that, a minority to get a job in Dallas is almost unheard of. You know what I mean? So coming from El Paso, there's minority coaches because it's 90% Hispanic in El Paso. But out here in Dallas, it's not. And I think it's a very difficult thing to do to get in the door. But I promised myself once I did, I was going to use this platform to try and promote minorities as much as I can.
So what are some of those things that you are doing, or that the organization is doing to promote? Are you doing workshops? Are you having clinics? What are some of the activities you guys are doing?
Well, we have clinics, we have workshops. We're really trying to send our research out, just send information that people could read. Also, our hiring practices. We want to hire. When we interview, we want to interview at least 2 minorities. And I mean, I'll hire the best coach. I'll always do that. But we want to give everybody their due, and so we'll always do that. And so personally on my staff, I have a staff of 16, and I do have 10 African Americans and 3 Hispanics on our staff, and 3 white guys. And it's an awesome, diverse staff. I love them, man. Everyone, they're really great, and they're great football minds. And then on top of that, they're unbelievable human beings, and they know the game. They play the game at a high level, but they can get it across to the players, which is the most important part. Just because you play doesn't mean you're going to be a great coach.
Right.
But when you can get kids to understand what you're trying to coach, what you're trying to teach, that makes you pretty unbelievable in my book. And we have that here. So. And
are you calling any side of the ball, or are you just the head coach?
Well, I work with the special teams, and then I kind of just give my input here and there and organize. I'm not calling plays right now or defense, but I'm just really helping out everywhere I can. The tough thing for me was I got the job in May, And on May 23rd, school let out May 25th. So I've been playing catch up, man, for like a year. It's been, we haven't had a spring football yet, because this year we're going to have spring football, and then COVID hit. But I'm going to tell you that we made the playoffs last year because of our staff, because of the guys that bought into what I was selling and just worked their tail off, man. We have some great coaches, we really do.
So Coach, tell me, I want to, so first of all, guys in the chat, my computer is being a little funny. So I want to tell you, just in case that you haven't, please check in and let us know where you're watching from. We got Jessie Perales in the house tonight out of Naaman Forest High School in Texas, and he is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I met him a couple years ago when he was coaching at Del Valle High School in El Paso. Coach, you had, and I've said it already, you had an incredible program at Del Valle. And here you came to start a new program, or, and I don't know anything about what type of condition Naaman Forest was in, or the program. When you came from one place to another, I feel like it's always impossible to just say, well, I'm just going to try to replicate what I did, right? Because every dynamic is so different. But what were a couple things that you said, okay, here's a couple things I really want to carry over?
Well, just the culture that we had established at Del Valle. I really wanted to come and focus on culture. Our school is extremely, extremely diverse, which is something very different. But kids all over the nation need discipline, and they need love, and they need someone to coach them, not to tear them up all the time. They need somebody to coach them, to learn the game, to raise that football IQ. And I think that's something that was a non-negotiable for me. I was going to come in here and try and change the culture as much as I can. And it's an everyday process. I mean, there's one thing talking about being family, but it's a whole different thing actually being a family, and knowing and caring about each other, not just saying, that's my brother, we're family, and you don't even know his mother's name. No, you're not family. So those little things, we really had to focus on the culture. Now, talent, we have talent. We've got some great talent, but talent without work ethic is worthless, right? And we've been able to instill that, and I was able to hold on to the majority of the coaching staff that was with the prior head coach. So that really helped with continuity. It helped with getting to know the players. They were a wing T team before I got here, and now we're running a spread. So that was a huge change. And again, I mean, we started off the year last year, we lost the first 5 games. We were 0-5. But we're getting better every week. But just getting them to believe and buy in, that was the everyday battle. So we were able to really do that.
So when you come over and you say, all right, we want to work on culture.
Right.
Where does that start?
Wow. Yeah. Well, for one thing, accountability. Accountability is a big deal. You can't miss practice. You can't be late to your classes. You've got to respect your teachers. You've got to respect your parents, and you got to respect your coaches. I made everybody wear a tie on Fridays, and they loved it, and the teachers loved it. But we just didn't have that. That had not been established, and I think sometimes players get away with things, and teachers ask for your help, and it lands on deaf ears. And I had to make sure that teachers knew that if I gave them my word I was going to take care of something, I was going to do that. And we're going to do that all the time. So just to earn our teachers' trust and our parents' trust and the players' trust, that's all part of culture. The winning attitude, the holding everybody accountable, including yourself, that's all part of culture. Respect, integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's around, that's culture. And there's a lot to it. And that's why it's an everyday process. Every day it's something. We're doing 2 words right now where it's a big thing now all over the nation, but just, character, just building character. And some kids, it comes a little easier to them, but it's something that I won't give up on. We're going to teach character every day, because character development is a huge thing, not just in football, because there's life after football, and not all of these guys are going to make it to the NFL or play college, but all of them have that opportunity to go to college and educate their mind. And I believe that knowledge is power. And so I feel like that's the minority's ticket out. And if you're not on a full scholarship for athletics, it's all right. You can go on a full scholarship for academics, or you can qualify for financial aid, or you can score high on the SAT and earn a different route there. But the end result is the same. You get that paper, and that's priceless.
You know, I want to ask a specific question here real quick too, Coach, and also to get our guys that are in on the chat involved. I really want to know this. You know, I've taken over a couple programs in my day as a head coach, and a couple programs that had been pretty bad before our staff and I got there. And that practice piece was one of the first things that what we found was a very common thing for students to miss, for athletes to miss, that especially as I was told, hey, watch, after homecoming, attendance goes way down at practice. That's what I was told coming in. So I've had my own missed practice policies. I'm curious to know what your policy is if you miss practice then. And also want to throw that question out to our guys in the chat. If you could let us know in your program in the chat, what is the consequence for missing practice? Is there anything in writing? So I'm very curious to know that from you, Coach Perales. What is the policy for you guys if you miss practice?
They told you after homecoming. They told me after picture day.
Really?
Yeah, after picture day, enrollment's gonna drop.
Yeah.
So you know what my policy is? The only excuse you have is if you're doing something school related. SAT, if you're in the band and you have a band competition or DECA or something like that, we'll excuse you. But the first practice you miss, you're gonna miss half the game. Second, you're going to miss a full game. You're going to be suspended. It doesn't matter who you are. We're going to do that. Now, if you're sick, we expect you to come, not now, before, but COVID, now we want you to stay home. But yeah, if you're ill, you're hurt, come stand on the sidelines and watch, and that counts as you're practicing, right? If you're not physically there, that's a missed practice, and you're going to lose playing time. And so, you know, I went through some peaks and valleys last year. We had to, some guys just were testing us, and one game suspension turned into 3 games, and then it turned into no longer on the team. And believe me, the last thing I ever want to do is cut a kid's hopes and dreams. I never want to do that. I let them cut themselves if that's a route they want to choose. But at the same time, you know, you've got to draw a line in the sand, and you got to have a bottom number. And if they just can't conform, and I'm all about second chances. You know, we're in this business to help kids, absolutely. But at some point, you hurt them more than help them if you keep allowing them to take advantage of the system and not be accountable. So they'll lose playing time, and they'll lose more playing time, and then, you know, we're going to help them grow, or we're going to help them go.
That's so new to me. Like that wasn't even thought of my thought process to miss practice. Right. And here in college, it's like it's not acceptable. Right. If you miss a practice, you better be in either getting.
There better be something sticking out of your leg, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're all cut from that same cloth. Exactly. But kids are so different now, and you've got to adapt to them, and you know what? And once you give them a good stern warning, take some playing time away, it changes. They'll start showing up. They do. Yeah. But some of them, you know, for whatever reason, they don't conform to them rules, and you know, then you got to take different measures, unfortunately.
Well, and that's the thing. So Watkins, you know, again, you being at the college level, I gotta believe you deal with it less than we do. But is there a policy in place at Concordia University, or it happens so little that you don't have to address it?
So it's interesting you asked that question, because it's more so meetings. So we meet in the morning.
Okay.
So if a kid misses a meeting, now I think before it was coaches handle it. Now the players handle it. Okay. Our team captains, position leaders, they handle that. And that's disciplinary on the football field. It's up to them. So they handle, they ask for it. We got a team council here, and they say, hey, coach, we'll handle all disciplinary problems. I'm like, all right, wow. You know, they told the head coach this. And so that's those guys handle anybody miss a meeting.
That's nice. Coach awesome. Perales, how do you handle missing meetings or film? I don't know if you do morning film or anything like that. Do you have anything like that? Do you have to have something regulations in place for to Just kind of instill that discipline and expectations.
It's really not that much of an issue right now. If a guy misses a meeting, we're going to put him on the prowlers. We have a student-led council as well, our team council. It's a little different in high school, where we're trying to get them to that maturity level. Yeah. Trying to get them to understand that, in college it's so much different. But I think we're all trying to make the same point, hold each other. And when you can start getting, like Coach Watkins, you have kids policing each other. Yep. Now your program's strong. I mean, they're holding each other accountable, and coaches don't even have to intervene. That's outstanding. We're not there yet. I wish we were. I hope to be one day. And I know that as we're changing this culture, that's something that we really want to implement. Our student-led council, we had it going in the spring, and when COVID hit, we had 4 months off, and we're having trouble just getting kids to log on for school, because everything's virtual.
Are you guys in class right now?
We're choice. So they could choose to come to school, or they could choose to stay home.
Okay.
And I think 70% of our school-wide attendance chose to stay home.
Wow.
Virtual. The other 30% is there at school, but which has made things very difficult for me, for the football staff, because we have 50 guys that are on campus all day, and the rest don't get there until later. And then with all the protocols and the mitigating strategies, the planning has been the planning has been such a headache. But we're getting by. At the end of the day, we're playing football, and we have to be grateful for that. Yep. No matter how much extra we have to do, we're getting to play this game we love. And so I always have to remind myself of that.
I always, one of the first things I had to do at any program that I took over was, I've said this before, I made a video about it years ago. It was being willing to fight worthy fights. And one worthy fight was, and I always had to address it, it was constant, and I hated it because I want to just be agreeable at school for everything. But one thing that, in my opinion, I think as a coach, you have to be willing to fight for the good of your team is the importance of practice. That the kid, and even sometimes with staff members at the school, saying, hey, so Johnny's going to miss. And I have to kind of talk to that person and say, like, you got to understand that we're not just putting in our 2 miles and going home. He can't just put in his 2 miles. Johnny plays tailback for us. You understand that everything about what we do changes if Johnny's not there. Everything. And so you have to, that's what's so unique about the job, is that you have to be willing to say, okay, here's what's got to happen. We got to have them, or I've got to fight for the sake of you understanding that we need our kids there. And you're fighting that same battle with parents, because they want Johnny to miss for something. There's a dentist appointment. You name it, right? You're going to hear a haircut. And you have to be willing to, even though you want everyone happy, but you also have to be willing to step up to the plate and tell someone, even though they don't want to hear it, and you don't really want to fight that battle, but you owe it to your team to fight it, to say, I'm sorry, man. You got to be here. We got to have you, because have you seen that at all, Coach Perales? Have you taken over for this program at the beginning? Is almost like, okay, we got to show, we've got to carry out or follow through, that everyone sees how important practice is.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I've dealt with it, and right now is a little strange because of the COVID deal.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of numbers, and not just name and force, but all through the state, lower level, because they're staying at home virtual, and then they don't have rides. They don't have a ride to school. And so, we have to be so organized, and you tell your parents they have to be here at 2, pick them up at 5. But you go 10 minutes over, whatever, and parents get upset. I mean, it's, just tell them, hey, show some grace. Things are tough right now. Nothing. The only thing normal about right now is that no day is going to be normal. Understand that. That's right. Normal. No day will be normal for us. But I did have some of those issues early. Thankfully, knock on wood, we don't right now. But I know that anything could happen. Anything with high school kids, anything could happen from week to week. And a lot of times they have a few things on their mind, and none of them is football. but it is what it is.
Well, Coach, let's talk some football.
Okay.
Did you bring your defense with you? The philosophy, scheme. You were a 3-3 team.
No, you know what? We're running an even front now, but I brought my philosophy with me for sure. Downhill, aggressive, nasty. We've got a great defense. We've got some great defensive minds on that side of the ball. I think last year we came on strong with our defense kept us in every game. We just weren't doing anything offensively to help ourselves, but I brought that mentality, but we're not running a 3-3. I just felt like because I was able to obtain all the, keep all the defensive staff, I didn't want to come and we were already going from a wing T to a spread offense. And I just felt like it would have been too much change.
Yeah.
So at a later time, we would gradually change if we needed to. But you know what? I kind of love the 4-2. I love what we're doing, and it's very multiple. You can do a lot. It's diverse, and so we're very successful. So I'm not gonna try and fix a wheel that's not broken.
I like it.
Well, Watkins runs an even front. Now, what are you doing? Tell us more about what you're doing besides even, because I gotta believe that there's more to it than even. But before you get to it real quick, we did have a question in the chat. Bruce Landstrom, I believe, who's out of Iowa, says, do you have any policies in place for if students are retaking a test rather than just missing practice for an appointment?
Is that for me?
That's for you.
Oh, if they're taking a test, we have built-in tutorial times on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll practice for an hour, and then we'll take a 30-minute break. So anybody can go take their test and do their tutorials, come back, and then we'll finish another hour of practice.
Interesting.
So that's kind of built into our system. And actually, I don't know if you're familiar with Dallas. Boy, August, man, in August, it is so humid. It kind of works out like a really nice break.
Okay.
In between. So you go and get 15 periods in, take that 30-minute break. Kids that don't have to go to tutorials or tests can sit in the air conditioning for a while. The other ones go test, come back, get changed, and we'll go back and finish another 15 periods. And then we'll be done for the day.
And that's every Tuesday, Wednesday?
Tuesday, Thursdays.
Tuesday, Thursday. It's built in. I like that, man. Okay, so even front defense, what are you doing besides just even?
Well, we'll go under, we'll go over, we'll twist a little bit, nose tackle twist, end tackle twist. We're playing some two-man, some two. We'll play one. We'll bring them outside backers, and what you might call bandits or raw. I don't know what. Everyone has a different name for them, but we'll bring them inside. We'll bring them outside. I mean, we bring it a little bit. I think one of the biggest differences is that now we have the athleticism to line up and play some man. So we don't have to necessarily zone blitz or give up an area, even though we know what area we're giving up. We don't really have to do that as much, but we still kind of do because, them offensive guys are smart, so you got to keep them off balance. You got to give them different looks, give them different window dressing and disguise some things. And everybody's running tempo, seems like now. And so we've got to be able to, it's a lot harder for us to check now than it used to be just because of the speed of the game. So we want to play base, but we want to be really good and sound at our bases and, just try and rally to the football, play downhill, play aggressive.
Okay, you two even guys, tell me, when do I want? So here's the thing. I learned defense in the 4-3 system. We were under and over. But tell me, man, we're talking 15 years ago now. When do I want to be an under? Like, when are some advantageous situations, things I might see, maybe per game plan? What are situations you guys like being an under? Either one of you two. I'd love to hear from both of you guys.
Well, I'll start by telling you, really, Coach Alba, I will tell you this. It really depends on, for me, on our personnel. Like in college, you can go get the guy that you want. But in high school, you get who you have, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's like this year, we have an unbelievable defensive line where I feel like we don't have to send linebackers. We don't have to create more pressure because we can get the pressure we want from those 4D linemen. For me, I want to play under when they have a really, really, really good center because I want that guy to, if he's not covered and he's free, he can help out anywhere. So if he's covered, we know we're taking him out and then let everybody else work. That's just my personal philosophy. But I'd love to hear what Coach Watkins has to say about it.
So for me, it's a schematic situation. Usually I like it against a tight end. That's the biggest thing. They're trying to create extra gaps, and it allows us to control certain gaps with either a linebacker or we could tie in a safety to it as well. So if we face a heavy 12 personnel team, I can go under front. Or if they try to create surface, or they're a big weak side run team as well, we can go under to that. So more schematic, just depending on how they're trying to attack you and just different ways to try to gap control.
Okay, well, I picked up a couple things there already because you have a center that you want covered. And so, and Perales, you were saying if he's a really talented center, you want him covered. So I like hearing that. I like hearing why guys want to change fronts. Watkins saying against the tight end. And I heard that. I also heard you say if they're if they have a strong running game to the weak side, right? Obviously, because then you got a guy in a 3 and a 5 on that weak side. That's a big deal, you know? So I like hearing that.
He said something I haven't heard in a while. I think he said tight end. I didn't even know those existed. I mean, we're seeing a lot of H-back hammer looks now, but tight ends, I mean, I know because Chicago, there's tight ends.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some tight ends over there, right?
I'll tell you what, it is rare to see tight ends, and I like hearing what guys are doing. Let's see. Coach Gardner says, let's see. We're on the 4-2 match this week. That's awesome versus trips. Okay, I think I've lost the loop on what their conversation is. So I guess I'm gonna come back to our conversation. When you guys are running under, that Sam linebacker that's coming down, so when the system I ran, again, this is, 06, we would play him against tight end teams and we were squeezing him and he was spilling any lead blockers he was seeing. He was spilling things. Is he spilling things for you guys, or is he more of a box DN, keep it inside?
We're always going to spill. I mean, we always want to spill because we want everybody running east to west as much as we can get them to run east to west. We want guys to bounce and run east to west because, you know, we have them backers out there waiting, aggressive corners. We can get down the hill, free safety can fill the alley for us. So we're always going to spill.
Okay.
But I mean, I haven't seen a box play in a long time. I haven't seen that in a long time. Is that something that you guys are doing, Coach Watkins?
So we will do both. And the way we teach our guys is, can you spill it to someone? If you can't spill it, then we'll box it. So for example, we'll never spill in man coverage because you can't spill it to somebody. If we're in zone, we'll spill it. And then off of that, it could be a game plan as well, depending on what are they doing, what's their blocking. Do we need to spill it, or can we tear? So I call it tear. It's just almost like boxing, but we're taking it hands on. We should be collapsing the gap. So sometimes you can get these guards where they're trying to kick it out or they're trying to turn up. When they're turning up, now we don't need to spill. We can just get hands on and collapse that gap and essentially almost take away 2 gaps. But in theory, though, if we're in man, we'll box it. If we're in zone, we'll spill it to a guy out there.
Now, back in our chat, Coach Gardner said Utah is full of tight ends. He said, I like under versus trips and in a 50 front under.
So that under versus trips, what is he still in a 4? Where would his mic be? Is his mic in a B gap, or his mic and his wheels in an A gap?
All right, you heard that question, Coach Gardner. Let us know in the chat what you're going to do there. Coach Landstrom, Coach Watkins has a question for you, Coach Watkins. He says, do you tend to run zone or man?
So it all depends on my athletes. Just like Coach said earlier, if we got a better team that are athletic and they can man up, we'll run man. But if we don't, I really feel comfortable playing zone. The reason why is I don't want to give up the easy home run. I want that team to drive. If they got to put 10 plays together and they score, I live with that. They score within 3, I can't live with that. So my main goal is to protect the deep ball, but try to get as much in the box. That's why I love cover 3, because you can get that extra guy in the hat and you should be sound in the back end.
So help me understand this, fellas, because both of you two seem to approach defensive, kind of defending in a similar way. Both of you have heard, I've heard Charles say it several times. I heard you say it tonight, Coach Perales, that, you know, we want to give the offense different looks. We want to be multiple. So one thing that I found that the longer I coached, I've become less and less multiple defensively. It's funny how that's worked. I've gone the other way. And I think it's because the more film I watch, I've kind of become I really kind of am antsy or I can't speak right now. But anyway, I worry about big plays, right? And so what I've noticed is on most big plays, it comes as a result of I either get stuck with two force players, meaning my force player forces it. I have to get a second guy that overruns it. So we'll call that two force players, leads to a big play. Or my force player doesn't force it and leads to a big play. So it all seems like all these big plays, so many of them, a high percentage of them, kept coming down to being wrong with a force player who wasn't supposed to be one, or a guy who was supposed to be one who wasn't a force player. It always seems to come back to that. So the more I jump around in fronts, come down to under, and now this Sam's gonna spill, and then I go to over, and this Sam's gonna it's like the more I jump around, my odds of making that one mistake, I felt like, went up. Now listen, I'm very aware there's so many different ways to defend, but that just gives you an insight into why I've become less and less, and maybe I'm just getting paranoid. How do I coach that comfortably, stay multiple, and not make those types of run fit mistakes? Or am I just worrying about it too much? Is it not that hard?
Well, you remember we met the last time and I told you, Coach, sometimes you're overthinking everything. You're trying to be sound in every single position. I will tell you, whenever you're giving up big plays, it's not just one thing that went wrong. It's probably two or three, and it probably went wrong somewhere on the D line. The guy didn't spill, or he didn't do his job, and somebody tried to do his job for him and left his job vacant. Somebody tried to cover him, and it's a trickle-down effect, right? That's why we love this team game, because everybody has to be popping on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. That's the hardest thing for all of us to do, right? Mm-hmm. But when they are, great things happen. So I've always felt like there's some times where not everything's going to be perfect, but you know, if the kids are playing, if you know your players are playing hard, and at that level one, that's the most important for me. Our D-line, everybody has to be unselfish and just do their job. I know you want to get a sack, but if this is the read, you've got to come and spill that for us, because everything else is kind of working off of that. And if you break down, it breaks everything down. So we really harp on, you know, guys doing their job. I know that's cliche, but it's just so true, man. Just do your job, so no one has to do your, or you have a outside backer or a safety that's overcommitting because he thinks this. Just do your job, man. Don't worry about it. Trust that your guy's gonna do his, and you should be there when they spill it. You'll be right there for force or whatever it is you're teaching. And I think when you have big plays, there's a lot of things breaking down. So you got to go back to the basics, you know, just my opinion. But
hey,
Coach Alco, you think too much, man.
Man, you're right. You said that same thing. I can't believe you remember that from when I was there. I kept saying, but how? And you're like, I don't just do it. Coach Rangel in the house saying hi to you, Coach.
Hey, Wrangler.
So Coach Gardner in the house says we have a box call that takes the overhang outside of 2 and the mic head up 3. And we will go tight front, 4-eye, 0-4-eye, 7, and take the remaining linebacker in a 0-0. So you got options. And so Cody has no problem being very, very multiple. Coach Perales and Coach Watkins, both of you guys, you multiple guys. Okay, so here's my next question. So if I could start thinking less or worrying less, really, that's my problem, worrying. I can start worrying less, and I can call more, and I can be more multiple. But how do you keep yourself from saying, okay, we love this look against this formation, we love this look or front against this formation, and then when you go into a game plan, hoping to be dictating and being able to call different things, what you end up doing is just showing them the same look against a certain front. How are you keeping track of, are sometimes you changing fronts just for the sake of changing fronts to show them something different? Or is your plan you have a multiple plan that as it goes in and is taking place, they're seeing different things just by nature of it?
Gotcha. So for me, what the game plan is A or B for me. And it's almost like to their top formations, we want to have an A or B plan with that. And if A's not working, then we got to go to B. B don't work, then we're in for a long day. Mm-hmm. But it's all about trying to find out what's their tendencies. And then you could break it down a little further. We'll have our base down, our first and second. And then our third down will be a whole different game plan. So a lot of my third down calls, I won't necessarily call on first and second, and vice versa. My first and second calls, I won't call on third down. That's how I try to handle it. I try to make it two different game plans. And biggest thing is try to get it to third down and win third down and get off the field.
What do you think, Coach Perales?
Well, again, my philosophy has always been to adjust to the personnel that we have. We're different than college. And so every year is going to be a different group. You're going to have a guy that's smarter than the average bear. You're going to have one that's not, but talented, blah, blah, blah. And I think we're not going to try and force feed them everything that we want to do. We're going to kind of let our personnel dictate what we can do. And whatever we're good at, we're going to do a whole lot of that. And we'll throw in some wrinkles here and there. But we're just going to focus on what we can do and who can do that, and kind of do as much of that as we can. And it doesn't matter if they know what's coming. If we're good at it, I like those odds. I'll take those odds anytime.
Our guys in the chat are chatting up some more. Bruce Landstrom says, we feel that man always allows us to be more aggressive, and we like to add appeal for our D-end on pass because, well, he's a good-sized kid, it looks like. Jason Edding says, Coach, have you guys been in an odd front and shift into an even front in the same snap? So Coach Eddings, let us know who that question is directed to. While you let us know who that question is directed to, I'm just now kind of stumbling onto this thought, fellas. Tell me if this is the right way to think about it. In the last couple of weeks, talking to some offensive guys, the more and more I keep looking at how many guys are giving their quarterback a fair amount of freedom, to check them into things that are helping them, right? Get us out of trouble, check them into advantageous situations. And I've never done that. But when I look at that, I go, you know what? Yeah, there's one or two drawbacks to giving your quarterback that freedom. But let's say if it's 2 steps backwards, it might be 5 steps forward. So in the end, what you're gaining is worth what you're losing. Would it be fair for me to be looking at being more multiple for myself in this same light? That while I might lose one or two things, the things that I am gaining by being more multiple in the end, by the end of a 90 snaps of defense over a game, it's still advantageous for me.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good point. Biggest thing I realize is on defense, you won't have the answer for everything. And going into that, if you know that, you help yourself out in the long run. And with that, your answer will be predicated on what they're doing. So certain cover 3 coverages I like that stop mesh. There's certain cover 3s I like that stop vert. So game plan, if I face a team that loves mesh, I'm going to run it the one I like to stop mesh, right? So if they go away from mesh and go vertical, then we make the adjustment with it. So it's just all about just knowing what is the offense trying to do, and once you realize they're trying to do, take that away. So I think that's almost is because for us we do a lot of check, and I know you know this, Nate. We'll give a call and we line up to the formation. So I guess that's almost similar to what the offense is doing. Quarterback come out there, he see what the defense is in, he'll make the check. So we got that same principle with us, hopefully trying to put us in the best position. And if that doesn't work, then you gotta be ready to make adjustments.
So Coach Perales, the defense that I've run historically is very similar to what you were doing at Del Valle. If I were to make a commitment to become a little bit more multiple in the future, where would you start coming from just your base 3-3? What would be one or two things where you go, listen, this is a great way to start being multiple, or this was something we loved?
Yep, maybe bring in another D lineman. And so now you got a 4-2, right? Now you're in an even front.
But would you do that like with personnel, like take a linebacker out and bring another D lineman in?
Absolutely. Leave your best 2 linebackers in there and bring your next best D lineman in, and now you got an even front, and you can carry a lot of the same principles. I mean, your linebacker reads are still the same. Your stunts are still the same. but you're bringing in additional man. We did that a lot at Del Valle, actually. We called it heavy, because instead of 3 down, we had 4, which created some problems there. And you know, it's just a different look. Teams were used to seeing the 3-3. They started getting comfortable with it, I felt like, and we just brought in a different little wrinkle, brought in another D lineman. And now we're in a 4-2 look, like a 4-2 under look, you know? And so it helped. It really helped a lot. And then as soon as they started getting comfortable with that, here we go right back to our 3-3 look and bringing them from multiple areas and stuff. So, I mean, you know, we got really good at it. We did. But
then nothing in your coverage behind it or anything would change.
Well, yeah, because, you know, we're running a lot of cover 3.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the 3-3, we could run some 2. We ran 1. We didn't run a whole lot of man, just because I didn't feel like we had the personnel like Coach Watkins. I wanted to stay safe. I just didn't want to give up that home run ball, keep everything in front of us, come downhill, make a play. You know, we're that kind of team, and we're really good at it. But as you get into the playoffs and you're seeing more accurate quarterbacks, faster receivers and whatnot, you know, they were flooding us on that cover 3, taking advantage. You know, their timing was great, and so we had to change some things on that, because the playoffs are tough, man. You know, it's tough.
Yeah. All right. Well, fellas, we only got 5 minutes left, so I want to wrap up like this. Coach Watkins, a guy in the chat, has a question for you.
Yeah.
And then after that, then we just want to, we always save like our get to know you question, Coach Perales, for the end. So we'd love to kind of get to know you a little bit personally here.
You gotta tell us what's the athletic coordinator. First time I saw that title.
So I'm responsible for all the coaches, and you know, the setup that we have out here at Garland, man, it is awesome. Our AD is top notch, man. He's a great dude. But so here in high school, all the coaches have to coach 2 sports.
Okay.
Which really alleviates, because in Texas you have to be a certified teacher to coach in the high school, right?
Yep.
And so now we have all the sports covered. We don't have to go to the middle school and get anybody. And the thing I love the most is if you're a PE teacher, you're going to be coaching sports at all of our high schools. A lot of the middle schools, like where I was at before, PE people didn't coach anything, but they were taking up that good job, and we couldn't bring other coaches in. So I really love that part of it. But I mean, there's just so much. I think Garland is awesome that they're doing so many things that I really love.
I like that. You know,
coordinator, I'm responsible for all male sports.
Nice.
You know what I used to say, Coach Perales? It is so hard to find more good men to do the work that we needed done, but it wasn't as hard to get my good men to do more work. Like I had a few that were just dynamite, and honestly, you could get them they would do the work of 20 men. Because they were good dudes, they were dependable. Right now, we wanted to reward them for such, right? We weren't trying to abuse what they're. But I was like, listen, these are our 5 good dudes. Like this is who we're going to try to get these good people to do as much as we can. So I love that sense of, hey, we got coaches. Let's get these coaches coaching. You get everybody coaching 2 sports. Now, does that apply to you, Coach Perales? You got a second sport?
No, I don't. Because I have to. I'm the gym manager during basketball season. I'm the baseball field manager during baseball, soccer. So I've got a bunch of other responsibilities. So I don't coach a second sport, but I do go and watch and help track, obviously, because you know I love track, and there's a bunch of football players running track, so I want to go keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
But we also have powerlifting, so I'll peek my head in there all the time.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I wish there was more powerlifting in Illinois. There's almost none. Coach Watkins, here's the last question for you from the chat. Coach Eddings, he had said, were you guys been in one front and shift to another front mid-snap? That's what Coach Eddings want to know from you, Watkins.
No, so we haven't, but I want to get there. I saw Georgia ran against Auburn. They forced like 3 false starts. So that's something I want to do. I don't know if we'll have time this year because of the whole COVID thing and everything, but I think it takes a veteran D-line, but also takes that guy that can play a 4-eye and could shift out and be a stand-up linebacker to give you that 4 and could probably drop if you need to. So it's about having the right personnel, but then also coaching it whereas though it's still sound in your system. So yeah, so to answer this question, we don't do it, but I want to get to it.
Okay, I like that, man. Bruce Landstrom out of Iowa said, Coach Albaugh, I started to install your 3-5-3 last week with my freshmen, and it's great. Awesome, man. We scored 2 touchdowns on D. Yeah, that's all part of my system. We just have this thing where you just score touchdowns. Coach Perales, man, as we finish out here, and we're almost out of time, would love to know, just give us like your 60-second version of your coaching story. Like, I went to college here, and then, boom, all the way to Naaman Forest.
All right. I went to college, and I went to Western New Mexico. Played my 4 years of football. Didn't want anything to do with football, man, because my whole body hurt. Everything hurt. I was teaching 4th grade. Sent an invitation to my assistant principal from high school. She told the head coach there that there's a guy that graduated from here that is just finished playing 4 years of football. He called me. I never met him and said, hey, would you like a job? And I said, sure. Went back to my old high school. I was coaching freshmen for a year. And just absolutely freaking fell in love with it, man.
Yeah.
And then just kind of moved up, and I got a head job when I was 30 there at Delvia, and now I'm at Naaman Forest. And the highlight of my career is my son plays for me. He's a sophomore.
No way.
Being able to just being able to hang out. I don't even coach him. I don't. He's a center. But just to watch him and hang out with him, because they've all grown. All 3 of my boys have grown up on the football field. It's been just it's just a blessing from God. It's just been freaking awesome.
I have this problem a little bit, Coach Perales. My son plays for us. He's a junior linebacker. I coach safeties defensively. I have a hard time, though, watching safeties with my son on the field. It's hard to not watch him. I really want to watch him. Do you struggle with that at all?
Of course I do. Of course. I mean, I'm out of the corner of my eye, or I'm staring at him or whatever. But
yeah.
You know what? The biggest thing is just to be able to give him a hug before a game, or a slap on the tail before practice, and say, "That's my, good luck." That's been priceless, man. It really has been.
I'll tell you what, I love hearing that from you, Coach Perales, because since you and I met, I gave up being a head coach to go be an assistant in the district where my kids go. Oh. And I want to show you this picture. This was last year. I got to get it off the wall here. But this is just kind of so going from being a head coach to being an assistant, it was pretty challenging, and it's been some struggles. But this right here is what, as you said, made it all worth it, because after the game, right, the whole family on the field, and I'm with my boy, like just like you said, that before and after the game is what made it all worth it. Coach, you guys, oh my goodness.
Nice.
And how many kids do you have, Coach?
I have 3 boys. They're all great students, great kids, pretty good football players too.
So is this your oldest coming through right now?
Yep.
These are the 3. Wow.
He's a sophomore, and then I have an 8th grader and a 5th grader.
Nice.
Love it, Coach. And now they'll all go to Naaman Forest then. You're in district,
yes,
obviously.
They better. If they want to stay being my son.
Well said. Man, well, I just had a blast. Coach Perales, anything like kind of at the end, like give us just, I feel like I didn't even get to touch on Naaman Forest football. Like just a synopsis of your year, what you're going through right now, and maybe any goals.
This COVID thing, we played our first game last week, and the other school had a game up on us, and I just think they template us. We weren't in game shape. We made a lot, like everyone's first game, we made a lot of mistakes. But we have a great senior football team. We're excited about the future, and we hope that we get these next 7 games in. Our opponent for next week just got shut down for 2 weeks.
Oh,
and
wow.
So, I'll try and get a fill-in game. I don't know, but hopefully we can extend this season, see how things are going. Naaman has been awesome. Our district is awesome. There's so much talent. Like I'm talking Power 5 talent at every one of these high schools over here. And I love coaching against that every Friday. I really do.
Man.
By the way, we had a kid that got offered by Northwestern.
Nice.
But he chose Tulane.
Oh, really?
To Tulane, but his top two was Syracuse and Northwestern, and he wanted to stay a little closer to home. So,
where is Tulane, by the way?
New Orleans, NOLA.
Oh, I did not know that, man. good thing we didn't do a trivia thing with that thing on it. Coach Watkins and I have done our share of some trivia. Coach Watkins, did I leave anything out?
Special teams, that's about it. But I know Coach Perales loves special teams.
Coach Perales.
Hey, but my mentor was Jeff Banks. And Jeff Banks is the special teams coordinator at Alabama.
Nice.
Before that, he was at Texas A&M.
Yeah, good dude.
Jeff Banks was at UTEP, and we became very good friends. And we spent many a night on a napkin going over all the special teams. And he made me fall in. I've never seen someone more passionate about special teams than Jeff Banks.
Would you agree that special teams are about 1/5 of the game?
Man, I think more. Special teams is big, man. Special teams it can make or break you, man.
Well, really Watkins says more. It's Watkins and I always disagree. He says a third, I say a fifth, and everybody agrees with him. So what do I know? Everybody agrees with him. Well, we've had a blast. Bruce Landstrom in the house just told me that he taught my son at Edison in Champaign. So Bruce, I didn't even realize you were from Champaign and taught my son. Wow, how did I not know this? And it looks like Coach Gardner out of Utah said COVID's starting to creep up in Utah a little bit stronger. Wow. They lost 10 games in the state last week. So, man, I'm really hopeful. I know this. We're in school, Coach, right now. We go half days. We're in school, and we are starting to see more kids miss. I feel like maybe it's just because the weather's starting to get cold, and you know how it is. I'm nervous, but hey. Here's the plan as long as possible. Coach Perales, it was so good to catch up with you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, Coach Alba, man. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you. Coach Watkins, good luck to you. Are you guys playing?
No, so we got moved to the spring. I just followed you on Twitter as well, too. So you gained a fan. I love everything about you, man of God. So I'd like to continue your relationship and hopefully get some of your players to come up here in the Midwest.
That'll be awesome, man. Great to meet you guys. You guys have a good night. Have a great season, man. God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll see ya.